All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the stream. My name is Rodrigo. This is my sidekick, Smokey the Smoke Detector. And we're going to be playing some more poison type only Pokemon run. But first, I am very tired of having a fairy type Pokemon that doesn't know any fairy type moves. So it's been a surprisingly difficult task to get a TR for Dazzling Gleam for our Weezing, our Galarian Weezing. So I'm just gonna move it into my other game and then go from there. Oh, look, it's all my shiny guys from Legends Arceus. Cool. All right. Where do I want to go? Wonder stuff. The bench. Here we go. Is Cap getting old? You mean is this Cap getting old? Here we go. Let's go ahead and check it. Oh, it is the end game. Yes. Yeah. Definitely, at least one of the major players are not coming back for the next movie. Okay. So we'll save that. And then let me see if I can. I mean, I'm going to have to put in the cartridge anyway, but I want to see if I can transfer something to my sword game without actually putting the cartridge in. Oh, looks like I can. We'll put crud papers there for now. Save. Okay. Close out of this. Get the Pokemon Sword cartridge because I'm old school. Change it, hopefully in a way that doesn't cause massive microphone noise and make everybody's ears explode. So far, so good. Lagnus says, "Do you know why Swedes are so introvert?" I do not know, but that's the thing that was going around, right? It's like Swedish people won't like if you show up at a Swedish person's house, they won't feed you. Is that what you're referring to? Langdon says, natural selection. Anyone who would go visit friends would slowly starve to death as they didn't get food, leaving only us people who stay at home. Yep. I mean, I think you're making a joke here, but like selection like that does apply to culture. So yeah, if you have people that are like very much not interested in, let me stash one of these guys first. If you get a bunch of people who are like very much not interested in having house guests, um, then yeah, then like the people who do want house guests are at risk of dying out, right? So you actually get that. I mean, honestly, it's weird to hear Americans have this conversation because America, like the United States, is like very much like it's not actually a melting pot. It's just like a bunch of like chunks floating in broth. So like a lot of white Americans that are come from like Protestant people, like they don't entertain. They like won't invite you in. Like they also don't stop by, right? It's like in the United States, stopping by, at least in the places where I've lived, in like Ohio and Kansas and even Washington, like people don't just stop by like that. Maybe in the South they do, but here in the Pacific Northwest, people don't just show up at your house. Like neighbors don't just come over and they're like, "Hey neighbor, we wanted to do this. Do you want to come along?" or anything like that. That's not how people are. So seeing Americans be like, "What? People aren't like feeding you?" is like, I'm like, yeah, most Americans also aren't feeding you. Let's see. Horsepoint Mind says, "Oh dang, we doing do guests get food discourse?" Yeah, I guess so. Um, it's people have been pretty much attacking Swedish people this whole time as being like bad hosts that don't feed you. So I think Lagnus is taking an opportunity to use this platform to say, that's right, we definitely won't feed you and we're better for it. Get out of here with that. Or something like that. Um, but yeah, so you need, like, the thing is that, like, in the US, like, there isn't a lot of cultural infrastructure for stuff like that, right? If you want to look as like what cultural infrastructure does the US have? It's like Thanksgiving, everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, right? It's like that's a cultural thing. But stopping by somebody else's house, even to say hi, is something that has largely gone away. Um, Once you're friends, then maybe people start stopping by somebody's house, or like if you're in a dorm, like people stopping by your dorm to hang out is like normal, but that's in a very specific situation. Let's get rid of assurance because it seems like a good idea. I could get rid of explosion instead, but I kind of like having explosion as an option. Okay. So, this might have been a little bit of cheating because I moved it into my other game so that I could teach it Dazzling Gleam. But my rationalization for this is Dazzling Gleam TRs definitely exist in the game, and I could potentially find them, but I don't want to because I've tried a few times and I couldn't because the like what trader guys move around or they change up their stuff, so I couldn't get a hold of it. Um, Lagnus says, yes, the country who invented fika, which is internationally known as coffee culture, don't offer anything to eat. For sure, not 7 different cookies on cinnamon rolls. Yeah, Um, Horse of Nine says, I feel like not just showing up is a result of the mobile phone. I never want people to show up to my house. Please text me. I don't know. I moved to the US before um, cell phones were necessarily like widely spread out. Like definitely before the point where like you expect everybody to have a cell phone. And coming from a country where people do just show up at your house, like people didn't do that in the 90s in the US already. So I don't think we can blame it on mobile phones. Um, Saint Jado says, good evening, Rodrigo and Smokey. Oh, hey, Saint JW, how's it going? Um, Lagna says, if you come into my home, I get out the axe. Yeah, it's just not something that's done. People don't buy. It's like when I was even as late as me being a graduate from high school, I would buy things. Like I had a tin. Like I don't drink coffee, but I had a tin of instant coffee in case somebody came over to my house and they wanted coffee, right? Spoiler alert, that tin of coffee stayed in that shelf forever and was never opened because also nobody ever came over to my house because people don't just come over to your house. Like that's not something people do. Pokemon Home. Lagnus says, stopping by someone's house here has already gone away too. I put some of the blame on cable TV. When we had only two channels, everyone knew when people were watching something important on TV. With 24/7 TV, people always buy the TV. That was more common in the 80s. Sinjito says, don't drink coffee and you're alive. Yep, that's right. I actually have never liked coffee. Like I like the way coffee smells, and I like things that have a hint of coffee, like coffee ice cream. I can eat coffee ice cream, but I can't have black coffee. Like there's a few reasons why I don't drink black coffee. The main reason, the reason why I've kind of never done it is because I don't like the taste. Right? I coffee is bitter and not in a fun way as far as I'm concerned. Um, and it's fine if you disagree. Like I know most people disagree with me. People love coffee. So in order to drink coffee, I would have to put a lot of milk and sugar or cream in it. And then it's like, well, why don't I just have a milkshake? Right? If I'm going to put so much like milk and sugar in it, I might as well just have like a chocolate milk or something like that. Um, and then, of course, the other issue is that caffeine has complicated interactions with migraines. So I I used to drink soda. I used to drink like Coca-Cola to kind of like self-medicate my migraines, and that really kind of never worked. Like it sometimes worked, and I remembered the times that it worked, and I was like, "All right, it worked, great." But it almost never worked. Like if I was starting to get a migraine and I had a Coke, it wouldn't help. Um, but anyway, yeah, I don't really drink coffee. It's not, you know. But anyway, yeah. So because I don't drink coffee, like I still had it in my head as someone who grew up in Mexico, in a country where people did still, at least in the as late as the early 90s, people were still stopping by in your house just to say hi or whatever. Um, so yeah, it's like, but no one ever did. And it's like, well, why is that? So, for example, Lagnus here says stopping by someone's house here has largely gone away too. I put some of the blame on cable TV. When we had only two channels, everyone knew when people were watching something important on TV. With 24/7 TV, people are always by the TV. That was more common in the 80s. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how things are in Sweden, but there's actually a lot of factors that have gone into why people don't stop by anymore. Like a big part of it is that people in the US, like this is all in the US, people in the US don't walk anymore. Like you can't just walk to your friend's house because um, there's like either they live very far away and they just commute to work, right? It's like it used to be that you lived close to where you worked or close to where you went to school, and so the friendships that you would start developing would all be nearby. And that still happens to a certain degree. So it's like in like downtown areas you can still kind of do that, but not everywhere. And in the suburbs, it's actually hard to do because in between sub complexes, there's no way to walk. Like there's no sidewalks. So it's very hard to walk to a friend's house, right? You have to decide, I'm going to go see Jimmy. And then you get in your car and then you drive for like a half hour to, and maybe that person's going to be there, maybe they're not. Like back when it was a 5-10 minute walk, it didn't matter if they weren't home, right? You knock, they weren't home, okay, whatever. But now everything's farther away, everything's more spread out, and also there are no sidewalks. Like there are big chunks of cities that are not connected by sidewalks, so people can't walk places, right? That's another thing is like people are like, why don't kids go out and play outside anymore? It's like, yeah, part of it is, the internet. You have all this information and entertainment at your fingertips, video games, whatever, right? It's like all that stuff is part of it. The cult, like being a child culture has changed. But also, where are they gonna play, right? It's like if your street is just a street and doesn't have sidewalks and doesn't have any green areas or anything like that, like that's the opposite, right? It's like suburban kids can go out and play, but urban kids definitely can't, right? Because it's dangerous, because there's lots of cars and there's like, here in Seattle we have a homeless crisis. So it's like you don't want to send your kids to play outside, right? And it's the same thing with like walking over to see a friend. Um, Lagnus says, I don't drink coffee either. I hate the smell and the flavor. And I live in Sweden. Yeah, it sounds like Sweden's a big coffee place. Lagnus says, but yes, I do enjoy those maps with these countries slash states do this because you can prove anything with them. XKCD proved that in a comic. It greatly amused me. Yes, somebody, the one that I retweeted, somebody was saying there's a correlation between countries that whose primary meat like export or whose primary meat is goat or sheep. Like those are places that are like will invite you in more often. And I was like, well, that seems weird, but maybe being a shepherd is like particularly communal or something. Horse One Mine says, my favorite weird map correlation is that you can look at a swath of democratic leaning countries in the US that correspond to an ancient ocean that covered the area. The theory is that shellfish equals fertile soil equals farms and plantations equals higher concentration of black voters today. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Lagna says, when I was a kid and wanted to play with someone, I'd phone them on a landline. Something I think was largely because our moms had that deal, so they could say, no, not right now. If we were a bunch of kids, we'd roam around and ring doorbells to increase in size. Yeah, that's what kids used to do. I did that to a small degree, but I was always an introvert, so I kind of didn't want to go out and play. Um, but yeah, that's something that I did. Horseman Mine says, yes, we have no third spaces. We have work and we have home, nothing else. That's actually a good point. Yeah, there's not a lot of communal space left in the United States, and whatever is there, like people are trying to get rid of again because we have like homeless people and poor people. It's uh, like libraries are like de facto child care centers because their kids, like people just drop off their kids. Where did I put this? Did I actually move it over? Dang it. So you guys got me talking about sidewalks. Wheezing. Okay, so no, I haven't transferred it yet. Lagna says Finland and Sweden at least used to take turns in most coffee consumed per capita. Okay. I did not know that. I did not know that. Like, I know that a lot of coffee is consumed in Europe. Like, Spaniards drink a lot of coffee. I know that because I have Spaniards in my family. And I know Italians drink a lot of coffee. So I didn't realize that there was like a very active competition as to who is more wired. But yeah, it's It's like I don't drink coffee and I don't drink alcohol for the same reasons because basically with my migraines, getting a hangover or getting like slightly dehydrated, getting a hangover would obviously be a huge trigger. But getting like dehydrated is a problem. So I try to stay away from it just, for safety. Um, and so, yeah, it's like people give me coffee to try, and I'm like, this just tastes like ash to me. And people give me alcohol to try it, and I'm like, this just tastes like booze to me. Like, I can't. People are like, oh, yeah, here, try this Guinness. And I drink a little bit, and I'm like, tastes like booze. And they're like, yeah, but you can tell that it's like creamy or like weirdly like this or like that, right? And I'm like, no, I can't tell the difference. If you have me sip a Guinness and then sip a Corona, I can't tell you. I literally can't tell the difference. Like if you give me like a Corona and like some wine, I'm like, well, one of these was fizzy, but I can't tell the difference because all I can taste is the booze, right? And that's what happens when you don't ever drink. Lightning says, at least we still have good sidewalks slash walking paths here, bike paths. I do enjoy that. Yeah, and you need that. Like that is an important part of maintaining a community. Like the United States has for decades been uh, kind of at war with its own communities. Sometimes purposefully, sometimes not on purpose, but very often purposefully. Um, so yeah, it's like having a community with the people that live near you in the U.S. is difficult. Like I moved into this place a year ago, and I don't know. I know like a couple of my neighbors, but like I don't know my next door neighbor. Like presumably I should have had like a conversation with them, but they didn't stop to have a conversation, and neither did I. So that was that. Let's see. Lagna says, I can walk 7 kilometers into town and only cross 2 roads with crosswalks, and the rest is tunnels and bridges. That's great. That's fantastic. Horseman Man says, Rodrigo, I've heard you say a lot of wild fantasy things over the years, and I can't tell the difference between a Guinness and a Corona might be the wildest. It's true. It's like, I don't know. It's like, think of anything that has a strong flavor. It's like pickled fish, right? It's like pickled herring. I don't know if you've ever had it. And it's like, tell the difference between these two brands of pickled herring. It's like, you might not be able to because the pickled herringness of it is so overwhelming. Like, that's what alcohol is like to me. I'm like, or somebody's like, here, like, like my wife or maybe whoever I was dating at the time would be like, here, have some of this fruity cocktail. And I would taste it and I was like, I mean, I can kind of tell that there's like fruit in it, but mostly I just taste the booze. Well, I'm glad you guys believe me. Like I'm not making it up. I'm not. And like here's the thing. Here's the worst thing about being somebody who doesn't drink is that people get very self-conscious about drinking, and I'm like I'm not. I don't care if you drink. Obviously, if you're like an at-risk person, if you're like an alcoholic, then yeah, don't drink. Um, but oh, I my captions have been off this whole time. Check, 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 check. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, definitely. If you're an alcoholic, then don't drink. But if you're not, if you just drink recreationally with friends or whatever, it's like yeah, by all means. Like I used to have a classmate in college who was like, oh, it's this way. Um, I would be like, "Oh no, I don't drink or whatever," and he'd be like, "Wow, I really envy your self-control, Rodrigo. I wish that I had that same type of self-control." And I'm like, first off, it's a health thing. The reason why I don't drink is a health thing. Like it's not because I don't like it, although I don't like it, but I don't like it because I don't drink, right? It's like I never built a taste for it. Um, so On the... Oh, look. I forgot we caught Eternatus. Hey, look, everybody. It's Eternatus. I was thinking of going in with Eternatus. I guess I could. But then I gotta take Sargassum out. Because I don't want two dragon types. What are you doing, squirrel? Anyway, yeah, I definitely have had a lot of friends who, like, get weird about the fact that I don't drink. But it's okay. It doesn't bother me. Let's see. Oh, Harvestry's here. Lightning says it's like if someone drops rucola into salad, I can only taste the rucola. Some flavors are just overwhelming for whatever reason. Yeah, yeah. And if you're not, especially if you're not used to it, right? Actually, spicy stuff is the same. People that aren't used to spicy stuff can only taste the spicy stuff, right? And it's like, well, that's not helpful. Ooh, Screech Power is real behind. I'm trying to remember what Leon's team is. And see, I feel like I'm still going to need Sargassum because I'm going to need a water type. Yeah, I'm actually going to take out Eternatus. Like, Eternatus is actually not super helpful. I want something that has, like, slightly more helpful types. Flying might be helpful. Let me see if I have some XP candy. Lagna says, I never offer someone alcohol unless I know they drink. There's so many reasons, and I feel pretty horrible tempting an alcoholic with alcohol. Absolutely. Horsepoint Mind says, people always say the same kind of thing to me when they find out I'm a vegetarian. Oh, I wish I was as dedicated as you. It's weird to me. This is just my life. Yeah. Like, I don't ever miss drinking because, I mean, I've had drinks before. I've been drunk before. But I don't, like, it's like, it's not something that I do. I stopped drink. I used to, I mean, I still love, like, the difference is, right, is like, I've never drank, but I used to drink a lot of Coca-Cola, and I love Coke. I love Coca-Cola, right? So stopping drinking Coca-Cola was hard for me, and I had to do it because of my migraines. I basically had to remove all extraneous forms of caffeine that weren't part of, like, my treatment. So, so yeah, I had to stop drinking Coke, and that was hard. But not drinking alcohol is not hard. I never think about it. I don't ever miss it. You know, I don't care. Harvester says, hey, that's legit. My partner is allergic to alcohol, and it's also bad for their other health issues. So they have had to churn down drinks at my family occasions more times than we're impressed with, as well as gotten bottles of wine as a gift. Yeah, that happens all the time. My wife enjoys a drink every once in a while, so she usually ends up with any alcohol we get. But she also doesn't drink very often. Lagna says, nobody ever calls me dedicated because I eat meat. It takes a lot of dedication. That's right. Nobody ever says, you know what? I admire your ability to eat a whole sleeve of Oreos in one go, Rodrigo. That takes some dedication. No one ever cares about me, even though I'm an absolute champ about it. All right. Here we go, guys. I think it's going to be credits pretty soon. But don't worry, there's like a post game mission. We're still going to do that, but I think this is it. We're about to face Leon. I'm ready to beat him. Yeah, although it might be interesting to see if Leon has who do I want to lead with? I don't know who Leon leads with. But I have a suspicion that it's Dragapult. So we'll go this way. Oh, crud. I was going to go into my bag and get some XP candy. Let's see. Scope lens. Sure. Let's sort by type. Okay, we'll give him another one. I don't think this guy needs Venoshock. Nope, definitely not. Let's give him another one. Hopefully this... Yeah, that seems... It's a little low, but reasonable. Maybe we can game it a little bit. Giving him a large XP candy. Yeah, it really like 60 is where I want to be. Ooh, Confuse Ray. What do I have? I mean, yeah, maybe I can get rid of Bite since it doesn't deal a lot of damage. I guess neither does Air Cutter. I mean, I like Confuse Ray, but I think Screech Power wants to come in swinging. Okay, that puts it at Little Veggies level, so that should be okay. Let's see. Hey, Merlin! Gonna play some Pokemans. Lagna says, if I leave now and never watch the stream, then Petunia lives forever. We're still gonna play a little bit more. I bet you today's not gonna be the last time you see Petunia, but yes, eventually the book will close on Petunia. Harvey says, yeah, I like to recreationally drink, but the past few years it's largely been socially in voice chats with friends. But yeah, I never want to put pressure on somebody who doesn't drink for any reason. I think my parents encounter Hospitality 404 and that offering booze to guests is such a standard routine that they forget or don't know what else to do. Yeah, I what I do what I do when I have guests, which isn't often as evidenced by our previous discussion, but what I do when I have guests, if I have alcohol, I offer them. I'm like, okay, we have like water, Dr. Pepper, orange juice, or a beer. Like pick any of those, right? And then it gives them this ability to pick something else, as opposed to me being like, "Can I mix you a drink?" Which I literally never do because I don't know how to mix any drinks. Because why would I? Um, so yeah, it gives people an out, right? And that's the thing is like smoking and drinking. I think in general have kind of definitely smoking, right? But drinking has also kind of lost a lot of its cachet in the United States. Like people just don't drink as much, like except socially. And I think it's because of information, because people know that like drinking's not really good for you. Um, but yeah, I definitely had like I had a coworker um, or somebody from a different station that I used to work with, and they'd be like, "Okay, well, we're done with stuff. Do you want to go get a drink, like at a bar?" Just to like cool down. And I was like, no, I don't really drink. I'll come with you to the bar, but I don't want to drink. And he's like, well, if you're not gonna drink, then there's no point, right? And I'm like, well, I figured the point was to like hang out and shoot the stuff about what we just went through in in like whatever terrible shoot we were involved with. But no, the drinking's part of it, and it just is. Air Cutter has a special stab, is always nice, especially the high crit rate. Okay, yeah. Harvey says, yeah, having non-alc options and offering them straight up is good rule of thumb, I'd say. Harvester was looking for quote number 5. Don't forget to save your games, kids. Oh yeah, good point. Good point, past Rodrigo. Lagna says, drunk driving is such a serious crime here, so you more or less can't have any alcohol and drive home. So alcohol is usually only offered if planned in advance. Yeah. Harvester says, interesting. I wonder if part of that is generational, the divine of drinking appeal. It absolutely is. Yeah. Different generations approach drink differently. And you always hear that stuff like millennials are killing this or that or the other thing. It's like one of the things that millennials are killing is like that casual drinking thing, because millennials still drink socially, and obviously like microbreweries and stuff. Like millennials love that stuff, right? So that stuff's doing just fine. But yeah, in general, people are just drink less alcohol. I think in the U.S. Um, Harvey says being the one sober person around people who are drinking a lot can be a tough dynamic. Yeah, it sucks. I hate it. It's not a lot of fun. All right, all right. Enough talk about drinking. We need to focus on Leon, the champion. The first time I played through this, I had a real tough time with this. I think he actually beat me a couple of times, and when I finally beat him, I had one living Pokemon left. So we'll see if the fact that my Pokemon are have like really pure breeding, we'll see if that actually helps. My matches are always sold out, but this, I've never seen a crowd this wild. Everyone knows what you did for us this week, Petunia. Petunia just like. Petunia is still communicating mentally with Eternatus. That's why her face is doing that. They know you're the one who caught Eternatus and saved the future of the Galar region. A real hero who battled alongside the legendary Pokemon Zacian and Zamazenta. I couldn't have dreamed of a better challenger to help increase my winning streak. Now that I've seen just what kind of strength you possess as the greatest of challengers, crushing you into the dirt will show everyone just how strong their champion truly is. Nice, very nice. I did save your life, just by the way. Come on, Petunia, let's make this a final match that'll go down in Galar's history. I need to drink some water first. Harvester says he does have some Goku energy after all. Um, Horseman Man says there's a small piece of dialogue somewhere that says that Leon's cape is so heavy nobody else can wear it. It's like my favorite thing. Oh, that's the Goku thing. Okay. Final match that'll go down in Galar's history. No, a match that'll change Galar forever. We're gonna have an absolute champion time. Petunia says nothing. Absolutely nothing. You are challenged by Champion Leon. Champion Leon sent out Aegislash. Okay, a terrible first choice for me then. It's one of the duties of the champion to get the crowd fired up. Okay, so definitely not. This is a bad setup. This isn't great either. Yep, this is the best I can do because I didn't bring my fire type again. So hopefully it doesn't open with a ghost type move because that would suck. Okay, yeah, it's gonna start out with King's Shield, so that's good. All right, let's try a flamethrower. Oh, with the quick draw. Yeah, maybe the bad thing about going first in this instance is that the shield form gives it stronger defenses, so it would have probably been better to let him change stance. So here comes a goat. Yep, Shadow Ball. Ugh. Wow. Already not doing great. Didn't bring my ground type either. Okay. Neutral will have to do. Let's double team, because my guess is he's going to guard. Nope, Shadow Ball again. Alright, let's try a Hydro Pump. Clink. Hydro Pump. That's a good quote. All right, let's see if we can put this a full restore. Ha. Let's. I feel like it's gonna shield, so maybe we use an item on it. Okay. So it's definitely going to block this turn. See what I mean about like double team not doing anything? Like he has hit me every time. Finally. 2 double teams. That's what it takes. This is not going well. All right. Oh. Okay, so I was really stupid because I was so worried about the steel type side of Aegislash that I forgot that I actually have a dark type. Yep, quadruple team worked for 1 attack and then fell off. Yeah, remember your type wheel, kids. This would have been a much easier fight if I had just brought out my dark type to begin with. Gotta love that steel lost that dark resistance. Yeah, yeah. It makes Aegislash a Pokemon that you can actually deal with because yeah, it's like immune to normal, immune to fighting, like and then all of Steel's resistances, right? So the fact that it's still vulnerable to dark type attacks and presumably ghost type attacks. Haxorus. That's just a straight up dragon type. Let's switch Pokemon to Crud Papers. I'm probably going to have to use like a tactical, like take a hit to the face moment to recover some of my guys. Because having 2 Pokemon down is not cool. Not cool, man. Haxorus breaks the mold. I can never, like, think about or worry about what Mold Breaker does. Oh, that hit pretty hard. Well, let's see how you like a diss. Uh-oh. Well, it didn't kill. So... Let me then use a max revive on Sargassum. I mean, maybe I should have brought 2 dragon types. Well, Crud Papers, you got to use a Dazzling Gleam once. Let's hope I'm faster. Nope. Oh, this is gonna hurt. You want a poison type skyscraper? They don't make them in poison type, just steel and dragon types. Okay, down to 3 Pokemon. That's great. Yep, could have stood to level some of these guys a little bit more too. Let's cross poison. It's because that Dazzling Gleam TR was bootlegged from Uncle Ringo's universe. Yeah, that's true. It wasn't strong enough because it was the dimensional transference kind of whittled it down. Let's see. Harvester says Twitch is suggesting I continue my sub with 3 days remaining, but only gives me paid options. Feels like a dirty ploy to get me to buy it and forget about using my Prime sub when the time expires. Yeah, just hang on to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just, do it next week. If you don't mind, if you want to give me your Prime sub, that's perfectly fine. Harvest says, dang, Leon, full restore already on your first critter. What are you, a player character? Yeah, exactly, right? Quadruple team, yeah, didn't do so well. Lignus says, I want a poison type skyscraper. Yeah, they only come in dragon and steel. Horseman says it's because the Dazzling Gleam TR. Lignus says that I'm not buying the game. Okay, that's fair. This game's been out for like 3 years now. Lignus runs off crying. Yeah. Harvester says Lars Ursa Ring fought hard to make sure TR burning was as difficult as possible. Yep. Alright. Yep. I'm really going to need to revive some of these guys. I don't think I have anything that I want to replace with Solar Beam. I mean, Solar Beam is great and all, but... Oh. Like, Petal Dance is literally as strong as Solar Beam, and the downside is that you attack a bunch of times with it. So, no thanks, Solar Beam. That one was a stretch, but I stand by it. Okay. Horseman Mind says, speaking of buying the game, are we going to have time to talk about the new Scarlet and Violet trailer that dropped? Yeah, we'll make some time. Champion Leon is about to send out Rhyperior. I'm going to keep current Pokemon, which I know is not a good idea because he's just going to hit me with a rock type attack. But I need to heal up my other guys. We'll bring back Sargassum first. Yep. That's okay. Let's get little veggies involved. Let's Grass Pledge. Should be 4 times weak to it, so there we go. Likeness says Rodrigo's okay with people using their Prime sub somewhere else, but every time you don't use your Prime sub here, he has to send a cute Pokemon to the Pokemon Shredder to pay rent. Yeah, that's right. As Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee taught us, um, you can crunch Pokemon into candy, so I'm forced to do that. Dragapult. Let's keep it here. Let's hit it with Toxic. Oh, it knows Flamethrower. Yeah. Little Veggies is so meaty. Ironic, of course, because he's made of vegetables. Okay. Let me switch out to actually let's try and bring Crud Papers back. Little Veggies is made of the stuff of kale and turnips. Yeah. Little Veggies is fibrous. Fibrous. That's what he is. He's a fibrous Pokemon. But as is often the case, it wouldn't be a fight without me basically using Little Veggies to chump. Poor Little Veggies. Okay, let's see if Crud Papers can bring it. A flammable, fibrous Pokemon. Yep, that's right. Alright, let's try for this Dazzling Gleam. Okay. So it doesn't have anything that's like... Oh. I was like, oh, it doesn't have anything super effective, but that still hit like a ton of bricks. A critical hit. Ha, pretty good, Challenger. Your Pokemon gained XP points. Harvester says, Grass Pledge sounds like some complex and harsh set of stunts you have to do to be accepted as a grass gym trainer. Yeah, there's actually 3 pledges. I think grass, fire, and water. So, yeah, presumably. Let's see. Good luck digesting that, Dragapult. Little Veg is always doomed to be an appetizer, never a main. Yeah. Harvester says, pretty good, Challenger. Good job on that 1/16 statistical chance you pulled out of your off out of your control. Yeah, thank you, Leon. Let's learn the move Memento. The user faints when using this move. In return, this harshly lowers the target's attack and special attack stats. I kind of love that. It's like it doesn't matter no matter what, because look at Crud Paper's speed, right? It's like it's never going to be able to use a move that is like it's never going to be able to use Explosion or Memento like appropriately because it's not fast enough, right? Usually something will kill it first. So we'll just stick with Explosion. Harvey says, yeah, I'm glad they beefed up the pledge moves from Gen 5 when they were weak unless used together in multi-battles. Now they're worth using on their own without the gimmick. Yeah. Rillaboom. No, we'll keep current Pokemon. Let's see if this does anything. Oh, nice. That was a lucky break. Ow. My scope lens, no! So I guess maybe the crit was a little bit in my control. I forgot that I gave it a scope lens, so maybe that's what Leon was praising, right? Wow. Finally, like a forward, like, momentum matchup. Okay. What do I have? So here's what I'm gonna do. I only have one hydro pump left. Dang it. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to switch to Dr. Violet and try to weaken Charizard as much as possible. And then I'm gonna go in with Sargassum and try to beat it. Is this his last Pokemon? Oh, never mind. I hit B, so I guess I'm sticking with Crud Papers. Okay, so he's gonna Gigantamax it. Yeah, this is his last Pokemon. Okay. Still doing okay. So we'll go for a Toxic. Although he's almost certainly going to... let's... I wonder if it knows a ground type move. If it knows a ground type move, then this is a waste of a turn, but we'll see. I'll show you what Charizard can really do. It's Gigantamax time! I could have sworn that Leon had a Palpitoad. Rawr. Oh, max Airstream for the... Woo! Okay. This is not great. Let's go with... Alright, now let's bring in Dr. Violet. I'm so... I got... This is not going great for me. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but... Okay. Might survive this. Yeah. Okay, good. This is gonna let me set up so I can hit it with Toxic, and I can hit it with Venom Drench, and that should help me. So assuming it doesn't... Assuming that I survive long enough to hit it with the Venom Drench. It's champion time to turn up the heat. Charizard, time for G-Max Wildfire. Okay. Nope. Didn't make it. Don't get caught up on a critical hit. Focus on what you're doing next. I mean, there's nothing I can do if it's a crit, right? Yeah, I didn't bring Sargassum out right away because I need to soften up that Charizard, right? So now I, like, absolutely have to bring this guy out. Hopefully he doesn't even, like, I can Dynamax him, and hopefully he does... Oh, the Dynamax turns are over. Oh, nice, I waited him out. Okay, we can do this. We're going to hit him with a Max Geyser and set up the rain. which will power down his fire type moves, and that's about all it will do. But because I'm literally also out of water type moves, although I guess I probably have something that recovers your power points. Charizard's going to be faster, probably going to hit it with... Oh, Air Slash. Interesting. I guess it doesn't have a Dragon-type move. Got him! Wow. Once again, down to one final Pokemon. I can't believe it. I thought I was going to do a lot better this time. Nope. Only Sargassum gets XP because it's the only one that's alive. Woo! My time as champion is over, but what a champion time it's been. Thank you for the greatest battle I've ever had. I got some money for winning. Congratulations, Petunia. You've beat even the unbeatable champion, making you the new champion of the region. You've become a first-rate trainer, all right. I offer you my heartfelt congratulations. And now that you've grown so strong, perhaps it's time I start looking ahead myself. It's time we adults started working on improving the here and now for the sake of all that's to come. And you, Petunia, what you ought to do now is believe in yourself and partner Pokemon and keep on blasting ahead in order to create that bright future we all hope to see. People of Galar, here you have it. A new legend born right before your eyes. Your champion, Petunia. Oh, she's smiling. But you can't wait to see what kind of future a kid with this kind of strength might bring about. I sure can't. Let's watch and see what she can do. Yeah! Shigeru Omori. James Turner. I'm not going to read all the credits, but I do love the Pokeband. I just assume that the lyrics to this song are Obstagoon, 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 Obstagoon. It's like this song that's playing is not what's happening. Like if you were actually going to listen to it, it would sound terrible. It just sounds like a monkey banging on some like wood, and then like two guys going like blah 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 blah, and like an Obstagoon roaring. No, I like the Pokeband. The Pokeband is cute. Radioactive Obstagoon. Alright. Let's see. Once you've destroyed the final boss, what's the next stream goal? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to keep playing this. We're going to catch Zamazenta, right? So at least we got that going on. After that, I actually want to have a stream where I talk about it. I like talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield and talk about all the stuff that we've... and talk about the run itself, right? And what was good about it, what maybe didn't work, what if something like this was done in the future, what needs to change about it. Yeah, get dunked on, Leon. Yeah, poor Leon. Finally dethroned after all these years. Petunia and Eternatus reign supreme, that's right. Harvester says, whew, that was loading for an uncomfortable amount of time. I was worried the game lagged or bugged out. Yeah, that was a long black screen there. Lagna says, Leon Leon got buns of steel. Surprised he didn't have more steel Pokemon. Yep. Life's a Pitch says, looks like Petunia's blasting ahead again. Yep, Petunia did it. She became the Pokemon champion of Galar. Harvester says his flare shorts are a strong choice for me. Yeah, I mean, Leon knows what to accentuate. It's like he's got his like weird mullet and his like sort of chin strap that doesn't connect, and then his like buns. So he knows what's working for him. Harvester says it's like the Rugrats band. Yeah. Obstacoon. Yeah. Sword and Shield postmortem. Yeah. So we'll definitely do that. But yeah, let me just get to a place where I can save here. Oh. Maybe we have to watch all the credits. Doobity doo doo doo. That's rare. Usually it gives you an option to like bail out of them. Oh, that's okay. So yeah, we're gonna. There's another little mission now to catch Zamazenta, and then once we do that, that will be the end of the run. I thought about maybe doing the DLC, but I don't know. The DLC is not going to. It's not going to give us anything much more interesting than playing the actual game. It's not very story heavy, and it revolves around other Pokemon. So, yeah, I'm just I'm not all that interested in it. I don't think it would add that much. So yeah, after that we'll do the postmortem on Sword and Shield and on the Poison Run. Oh, it's all the icons. Again, this game's icons, fantastic, right? Thank you, everyone. That's cute. The end. Okay. So that the fun thing now is that now that I beat the game, it's gonna give me, instead of just showing the stadium, is actually gonna show Petunia, I think. Or now that I beat the Pokemon League. See? So yeah, now every time we turn on the game, we'll see Petunia, and unfortunately, who is that back there? Oh, Sargassum is going to get Mike Wazowski'd, but that's okay. Oh no, Sargassum, look. Sargassum looks at it and is like, I can't believe I'm in the opening screen! Lagna says, yay, now it's like I beat the game too. I'm a champ. That's right. That's right. We all did this together. Harvester says, credit sequences being mandatory have been fairly common in games for me. Yeah. I get that. It's fair that people involved get their credit shown for real. Though the save file anxiety is real. Yeah, definitely. I'm guessing this auto-saved. Harvester says that was a very Pixar end bit there, and I also enjoyed it. Well, there you go. Yeah, let's go in and see where we're at and save, and then we'll talk about new Scarlet and Violet stuff. Yeah, see, this is the next thing. Oh, here I am once again in my room where it all started. We can probably do another outfit change to start out the search for Zacian and Zamazenta. Or I guess just Zamazenta. Okay, let me... let me get the browser going once I turn this off. And let me turn on some tunes. Actually, I guess... no, we'll just turn on some tunes. I don't think there's anything audio-wise that's too relevant in the trailer. Let's see. YouTube Pokemon second trailer. All right, so we've seen the models before, right? The orange and the grapes, that's apparently a thing. Like Giga Chat Professor, right? That's something. Starters, yeah, we see some movement. Like, I have a I was talking about it with some of my friends, and one of them who doesn't love Pokemon, or he's not like, he doesn't hate it or anything, but he's like, I can't believe I can't believe that Pokemon is still getting away with these graphics, and it's true. Like, I saw this and I was like, oh, that looks kind of ugly, like that looks kind of low res. So, I mean, I don't want to be that guy that's always like, oh, Pokemon's graphics need to get better or whatever, but like, Pokemon's graphics, like, I know the reason why they don't get better is because they can get away with it and they can crank out more games. But maybe they shouldn't crank out so many games and instead just work on, putting out a product that seems competitive with the current generation of games, right? Anyway, not to belabor that too much. Harvester says, I was hurt when the YouTube algorithm didn't suggest it on my profile page, but did on my partners. We're both in this. Yeah, that sucks. Lagna says, if you were the head of Nintendo USA, what is the first thing you'd do? And would they fire you for it? Oh, God, what was the first thing? Yeah, okay, so... Yes. Yes and yes. If I was the head of Nintendo USA, I would try as hard as possible to leverage whatever influence I had to fix the Joy-Con situation. And they would fire me for it because I would go super hard at Nintendo of Japan and be like, you guys need to fix this. Like, we can't keep selling consoles with faulty controllers and also faulty controllers for $70 each. Like, we just can't do that. That's not possible. Like, that is not a Nintendo thing to do. And then I would be very upset. Oh, Lagnus didn't get to see what I said. Yeah, just let me know when Likeness comes back. Horseman Man says they don't need to be photorealistic, but it'd be nice to see some artistry. Like, you can make nice looking game that isn't graphically super complicated. This still just looked like there's no intention behind it. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's the same thing with, as we will see further on, the fact that it's still not voiced. Likeness says, I asked a question and Twitch immediately were like, nope. We need to censor this bit. Okay, Lagnus is back. So basically what I was saying is, yes, if I was the president of Nintendo, what I would do would get me fired, because I would push super hard to get the Joy-Con situation fixed, and I would be a pain in the butt for Nintendo of Japan. So I would eventually get fired for that, because it's like unforgivable that Joy-Cons, like, what, 3-4 years into the... How long has the Switch been out? Like 4 years? That is still something that is happening. It is like unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah. Horsepoint Mine was saying that there's no intentionality behind the graphics, and it's true. And as we see with like things being still not voiced, again, I was talking to my friends and I was like, I would defend that if it seemed like an artistic choice, like how Animal Crossing has Animalese, right? But Animalese is cute, and it's like an intentional choice. And we were talking about Inception, and Inception is basically not voiced, but it's artistically not voiced. When characters talk, there are these sounds that are very in character that play when they're talking. And you don't know if the character's talking to you directly or like speaking into your mind or something. So, yeah, it's very much done purposefully, but Pokemon doesn't do it purposefully. They're just doing the same thing they've been doing this whole time. Fuecoco is cute, though. It's a cute trainer. This guy's new. His, I think his name has been spoiled in the Pokemon page, but I don't know it yet. Switch has been out a long time, and yeah, the fact that they have double, triple, quadruple down on Joy-Con issues being minimal or non-existent is really awful. Yeah, there's a class action lawsuit, and I hope they super lose it, because, you know, it's like, I like Nintendo as a company. Obviously, I enjoy playing Nintendo games. I like the Switch a lot, but it's like unacceptable, completely unacceptable. Lagna says, I, in most cases, prefer text over speech. In most cases because it slows things down too much, and I usually listen to something else anyway. Yeah, but it's also good to have the option, right? It's like you could just turn down the volume and listen to something else. And if the speech still appears graphically, you can still read it. Horseman Man says, that line from the rival made me feel like the player character has all 3 starters. Also, I often write my own story too as I play. Yeah. What? That's ridiculous. Who does that? Are you these 3's trainer? Actually, that is weird. I wonder if you do get all 3 starters. That would be nuts. Let's just have some fun. Some sort of charge move. Power of Science is amazing. If you connect with friends, you can head on adventures together. I mean, this is great. I don't know to what degree this will be available, but it's fun that you can adventure with your friends. You know, Pokemon has always been a game where that's something that happens, right? It's like, it's a game that you can play with other people. So the fact that they are putting more emphasis on playing with other people, that's good, right? We know this bird. We know this sheep. This guy we don't know. But, you know, he's like the early game grass type guy, like Badoo or something. I guess I should look up what these new Pokemon are named. Yeah, we don't really have confirmation that this is like a Legends Arceus type throw, because it looked very staged. Yeah, again, Lechonk, right? Like, people are like, why is he French? And it's like, no, it's not Lechonk, it's Lechonk, based on the word lechon, which is like a suckling pig. Basically the pork equivalent of veal. That's what lechon is. Let's see. Also, Horseman says, yeah, I'm hyped about co-op. I saw his name somewhere. Can I share it? Yeah. No. Just share it here. Spoiler alert. We're talking about this trailer, so whatever comes out, comes out. Lagna says, well, I'm tired. First, I stomped around in a wet forest for 2 hours for work, and then I had to fight off people trying to come over and eat my food, so I shall sleep now. Oh, there you go. Have a good night, Lagnus. Harvester says, I'm very intrigued to see what the multiplayer content actually looks like. Yeah, me too. I don't know how extensive that's going to be a part of the game. So we'll see. The grass type is Smoliv. That's a cute name. The new Pokemon are named Mort, Tintin, and Darth Farty. Yeah, those are good names for them. I'm glad that Game Freak is listening to the community. A Choodle, which means Dreadnought, is going to be in this, which is good. I like Dreadnought. It also means I'll probably be able to import in my shiny Dreadnought. Trade screen. Yeah, Pokemon being out in the world, that's fun. but no sign that Pokemon are like that you have a Pokemon following you. So who knows what they're gonna implement. I mean, there's that Pikachu, but you never know. And here we go. Here are the legendaries. Do we think regional variants are a given? They must be a franchise staple at this point, right? I think so. Yeah, we're definitely going to see regional variants. People have responded really well to them. This one, like, they're both kind of like vehicles, right? It's like one of them has like a tire here, and this one also kind of has a tire, and it has like rockets. So I think these guys are like Transformers. It's like one of them turns into a motorcycle and the other one turns into like a plane, maybe, right? So yeah, what if they have like a transformed form where they're vehicles? Although if they're vehicles, you better be able to ride them, because otherwise what's the point? Yep, so that's the trailer. I mean, obviously I'm interested in it. I'm curious about what all is going to happen in the next iteration of Pokemon. But yeah, it's I'm not always it's like I'm willing to forgive a lot for Pokemon, but especially hearing the stuff that goes on at Nintendo sometimes, and that's Nintendo of America, so maybe, I mean, I can't imagine that the Japanese, like, if there's one other country that is like terrible to like its programmers and stuff, it's Japan. So yeah, it's like there's all this like crunch and still the game doesn't look great, and like, yeah, it's just, and that's the reason why the game doesn't look great, is because they're cutting corners. So, I'm still excited. I wish we had seen like another evolution of the starters. That would have been great. But this is fine. The little cute guys that they showed us were cute, so that's cool. Yep. Oh, yeah. I got them working. Let's see. Harvest says the Chudo looked maybe a little different to me. I don't think so. I think it's the same model. Harvester says, these legendaries are very cool in some ways. Big Snake vibes. Yeah, they definitely have Snake vibes. Like, they have arms, but they definitely have snake faces. Horsepoint Mind says, I like their box art way more than those 3D renders. Sure. Yeah. Pokemon is like... Pokemon's legacy, sort of, is that it was a hand-drawn game. And back when they were doing 2D sprites, it had some of the best 2D sprites in the game, right? Like what do I want to say, like black-white 3D sprites, the last ones were like pretty good, right? Where they had like independent like parts like moving around and stuff. And then when they went to 3D, there was this like kind of moment where they had to like make things work, and a lot of them weren't meant to be able to work that way. You can see that in a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon, right? They were not designed to be 3D models. So you have things like Ghastly, which is like, well, what does Ghastly look like in 3D? He's like a ball that's enveloped by gas. So can you only see the gas? Can you not see the ball? Like, so, what they've done is, they've basically made it so that the gas is always behind what you're looking at. So depending on like where you turn, the gas is always behind them. So they had to fix that, right? It's like Diglett is another example, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's a little guy that comes out of the ground. It's like, well, what's under there? Because when you're a 3D model and you're expected to move in a three-dimensional environment, you kind of have to move. And, they did it so that it, when Diglett like jumps or moves up for whatever reason, it's just like, there's just like a chunk of dirt underneath him. So, and yeah, so to this day, anything that you see that's hand-drawn officially for Pokemon is just going to look better than the stuff that's digitally made, because Pokemon has never quite caught up to its digital products, right? like people keep complaining about the fact that like Pokemon look like toys. Like they're just kind of shiny and like rubbery and don't have like fur or feathers or whatever. And I'm like, you should be happy about that. You should just be glad for that, because Pokemon were not designed to look that way, right? Pokemon were kind of designed to be simple characters, and there's a level of complexity that needs to happen to move something to 3D. So I'm fine with the textures is not what bothers me. I'm okay with Pokemon looking like little toys. I think that's perfectly fine. But it's like kind of like the render itself a lot of the time where I'm like, these graphics just look muddy, you know? So what are you gonna do? Let's see. Horseman says, I thought Chuda looked lighter in color, but that might just be me. Maybe. Harvester says, Nintendo insisting on their strict launch schedule instead of giving the game some additional time to smooth it all out. Without workers having to crunch so terribly, would be 100% worth it to me to wait a year or so longer for it to be polished and for employees to receive fair treatment. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, we already wait a couple of years for another Pokemon release. Like, we could wait 5 years, you know? Like, I know that seems like a lot to wait, but it's not. We could wait 5 years, it would be fine. But the problem is that Pokemon is this huge rolling franchise, and it's all based on the game, right? Like, every new thing that you see Pokemon come up with comes from the game. Like, if the anime is like, oh, well, this happened, and it doesn't go with the game is almost never going to absorb that back, right? It's only absorbed back a handful of things, like Pikachu and only Pikachu going like Pika Pika, you know, like saying its name instead of like a weird noise. And I guess Meowth too, since the Sword and Shield Meowth, like Cantonian Meowth actually goes meow meow meow, but you know. But yeah, almost nothing. Pretty much everything gets starts with the game first, so that's where like the whole franchise starts, and it's also probably the hardest and longest thing that needs to be done, right? With possibly the exception of the card game. I think I pivoted where that sentence was going part way through there. Excuse me. Oh, it's fine. Creative Handle says the burnout from crunch time is real. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it shouldn't be. They should just give more time. Like, we don't need 2 Pokemon games a year. We just don't. Like, give us one Pokemon game every 3 or 4 years, like without all the other extra ones, and that would be fine. Nintendo crunch equals bad. Launch delays are one of the most financially reliable franchises to make sure the game is tight and employees aren't exploited. Yeah. Harvestry says, Uncanny Valley Pokemon textures sound unfriendly, like the Detective Pikachu movie is good evidence. Yeah, there's some Pokemon that look disgusting because they have skin, right? It's like, oh, this Pokemon has like skin, like human skin. That is weird, right? It's like, there was a way to make Mr. Mime more freaky, and that's to give it like human skin. Harvester says stylized aesthetic is legit, shabby render unfortunate. Yeah, and that's how I feel, right? It's like, I don't like if Pokemon, because that's intentional, right? Again, the important thing is that intentionality. Is it something that they're doing on purpose? If all Pokemon look like little toys and that's on purpose, perfectly fine, right? Just like that dream, like Link's Awakening, is it Link's Awakening? Remake where everything looks like a toy. Like, that was done on purpose. Like, Pokemon that look like little rubbery toys, because that's how they've always looked, and that's what makes them look good, I'm perfectly fine with. Harvester says, I was impressed that SV, Scarlet and Violet, seems to bring forward the Legends Arceus style of sneaking up on wild Pokemon and getting into battle. Yeah, so we see a trainer sneaking up on them, so we'll see what all aspects are kept from that. Yeah, Harvester says Link's Awakening on Switch. I did enjoy the game slash diorama aesthetic. Yeah, so you know, I am interested to see what happens. I have some bets going into somebody. I was talking to somebody online on Twitter, and they were like Lechonk. They were saying like Lechonk's evolution should be called Humongous, which is good if it does turn into a like an enormous pig, right? Humongous is good. Oh, sorry, Humongous. Right. Hamon meaning like ham. But I think if they want to go all in on it, they should call him Salchichonk. Homunculus. Yeah, if it turns into like a weird piecemeal monster, then maybe Homunculus. But yeah, I think, you know, salchicha or salchichon is like a big sausage. So they could just call it salchichonk. But also it's hard to say, so it's 3 syllables. You know, I guess there's, you know, Greninja is 3 syllables, so maybe it's not that difficult. Harvestry says, if they put out a Pokemon with a name that sounds like Among Us at all in it this day and age, they had best lean into it. Yeah, that's true. So yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not... I'm not too concerned about... I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be a fine game. I think a lot of people are getting real hype for it. Oh, captions just... went all weird again. Check 1 2. Okay. Oh, the captions. Let's see. If they put out Pokemon, oh yeah, Harvey says Feraligatr. Yeah, Feraligatr is a good example of them literally running out of characters, right? That's why it's not Feraligator. It's like Feraligatr is just exactly how many characters a Pokemon can have as a name. Your auto captions absolutely hate it when you say Spanish Pokemon names. Yeah, they hate anything in Spanish. Cuando hablas en español, obviamente no lo entienden porque están diseñadas para hacer las cosas en inglés. Sí. Yeah, they just it just can't tell what's happening, which is fine. Interestingly, these captions, because they're like web captions, and I think a lot of streamers use them, do have a lot of Pokemon stuff in it. Like if I say Obama Snow, or maybe not Obama Snow, but what's another one? Like Raichu, right? It's like it just has Raichu. Five-syllable name too, yeah. Yeah, Feraligatr they literally just ran out of characters. Salty Chunk, yeah, it does sound like Salty Chunk. Harvesty says, I like what the trailer... And to be fair, if you eat Salchichon, you are going to get some salty chunks. Like, which is what makes it good. Now, Harvesty says, I like what the trailer has shown so far. I don't know how optimistic I am for quality of life improvements or cool new features that aren't one-off gimmicks. That's fair. Let me change this thing here. Change this to just chatting. Change it to Scarlet, Violet, trailer. Should have probably done this when we started talking, but whatevs. Let's see. Harvey says, I like what the... Oh, yeah. Hers says, I enjoy that later. That later they expanded the character limits, but left for alligator after it could fit. Yeah, there's a lot of weird legacy stuff that just stays, you know, and it's like, well, that's how it is. Nope, pretty sure for alligator is still like there's just no vowels after a certain point. Yeah. Yeah, actually, the Totodile line is definitely one of my favorites. I hope that there's a way to play those in this game. There wasn't ever in Sword and Shield, which is sad, but it's fine. I'm actually a weirdly, I am like pro Dexgate. So here's what I think. I think that Dexgate was actually good for competitive Pokemon, because what it did was it kind of artificially shrunk the pool of available Pokemon, making those Pokemon a lot more viable. So, you know, there was time during competitive when like you would see a Corviknight go in and you're like, oh dang, how am I gonna get around this Corviknight, right? Obviously just not something that happens anymore, right? Now it's like you go up against like a Dialga Calyrex team and it's like, oh well, yeah, obviously like this is impossible unless I also bring a team of legendary Pokemon. But there for a little while where you had this small pool of Pokemon, and then they added some more, and then they added some more, and then they added some more, made for a dynamic meta that that allowed for some new strategies, some old strategies, and some flexibility, right? The problem is that now, like, there is no strategy. You just throw Pokemon with like the highest stats into a fight, and that's it, right? That's what competitive Pokemon is now. There's no sand teams, there's no rain teams, and if there are, it's not a rain team. It's just that Kyogre's really good, and it causes the rain. Harder says, I would like them, though I would also be interested in regional variants on the Totodile line too. Well, if there are regional variants, that also means that the original will be available, right? Yeah, we've gotten regional variants on starters now with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So, not Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Legends Arceus. So, yeah, there's President, so there's that. Let's see. Dexgate was a hassle for me with competitive Pokemon, as a bunch of the critters I bred and raised up in old games just are not compatible. I do get the new variety that it creates, and that's a good shakeup, but it's also a pain. Yeah, so Pokemon has a fundamental problem, right? Just at the core of its being, like, it's like if you talk to like old Magic the Gathering types, they'll talk about how like Magic was almost a very different game, because when they made the first Magic expansion, which was Arabian Nights, they were going to change the back of the cards, and it was like a last-minute decision. Like the cards were like already gonna go to print, and they were like, no, use the old backs so that they're compatible, right? And that would have, because otherwise, that would have been it for Magic, right? People would have been like, okay, we buy Arabian Nights and nothing else, and if something else comes out, we have the option of buying it or not, but you make it all compatible, now it all plays together. Obviously, lots of issues with that, right? Pokemon is a good example of that, but something that is a problem, because although you can always print and reprint new cards, there's limited space in a game for, now close to 900 Pokemon, right? And definitely by the time Scarlet and Violet comes up, probably a full-on 1,000 individual Pokemon, not even counting regional variants and multiple forms and things like that. So, um, so yeah, so you now you can't please everyone, right? You have someone like me who is like, yeah, okay, like cut down the number of Pokemon that are available, create this like sort of artificial meta, and then slowly build on top of it and let these new strategies and like temporary strategies, right? Like if you're between, like it's like the base and then another bunch of Pokemon is like the stuff that happens here is going to be very different than the stuff that happens once a new bunch of Pokemon come out, right? Some strategies are going to be rendered useless, some new strategies might emerge, but you know, when you have two bunches of Pokemon and before the third bunch, there's going to be strategies that the third bunch is going to like obviate or enable. So you have that, right? So I think that's interesting. But you also have people that have spent a lot of time with this franchise and they're like, I already have a bunch of trained up Pokemon. I don't want to not use them, and I don't want to not have them, right? And you think, how does Magic get around this? And it's like Magic gets around it by having different formats, right? Which Pokemon sort of has, but not really. Definitely not through the game, right? You can always go to Pokemon Showdown and play different formats all day long, but the only thing that has to do with Pokemon is that it's using the stats from the Pokemon game, right? So... and even then, you can roll back to older stats if you want to play an older generation. Like, you can do that. Harvester says, if we had something akin to Stadium that was compatible with older Mons for the purposes of competitive battling, that will at least be a nice avenue. Yeah, it's something, you know, like, part of the problem, like a lot of the things that make Pokemon a fun and interesting game also cause it problems, right? Like, it's a problem that Pokemon is a competitive esport that is gated by a story mode, right? It's like if what you wanted, it's like when you play Magic Arena, if you have the money, you can just buy a bunch of packs and make a deck, make like a top 10 deck that you find on the internet and get to play in and start climbing up that ladder, right? In Pokemon, you have to play through the main game. You just absolutely have to be able to breed and catch the Pokemon you want to start competitive. Now, there are places where you can go and they'll give you Pokemon, but you're actually still gated by the game. You have to you have to play the game at least to a certain degree for it to even let you start competing in trainer battles, right? So it's like I like the game. I like the first person or like the one player game that Pokemon is, but since it's also trying to be a competitive esport, then it's gonna run into problems, right? And that's the other thing that runs into problems is it's like held back by the amount of time and effort and actual disk space that the game has. And so, yeah, you're going to have big changes. And also, it's hindered by the fact that up until Dexgate, every generation of Pokemon had been eventually almost fully updated, right? There were some banned Pokemon and like stuff like Chatots where like they just didn't work in like newer generations. But yeah, so that stuff is like working against them. Like the stuff that made them popular now works against them because there's this expectation that everybody will be able to use whatever Pokemon they want at all times. And I don't think that's a realistic expectation and shouldn't have been a realistic expectation back then. They just happened to knock it out of the park. And, you know, maybe Pokemon wouldn't be as successful today if that wasn't the case. But now it's successful. Like, they're gonna have to, like, put their foot down in some sense or innovate to like an immense degree, right? Come up with some way to actually do this where it still works with like this space and with the size of the game and with what the like single player campaign asks you to do. Harzer says that is true. Yeah, bug/feature combo. Yeah, there's a lot of those in Pokemon. I suppose if we had to use Sword and Shield as breeding and raising game to port over to another full price Switch game for battle, it would be a hard sell for a lot of players. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Or if there was just a like let's play Pokemon game, and a game that was like, you like pay $60, you have access to all Pokemon, and you can go in and change up their stats. And this game is just for battling, right? It's like, that makes sense. It makes sense. Like, that makes sense because again, you play Yu-Gi-Oh online, you play Magic Arena online, you have access to everything. You have to pay for it because that's the business model. But if you paid, there have been Magic the Gathering games in the past where you like buy the game and you get access to all the cards in the game, and then you can make decks based on that, right? So, like, again, Pokemon gets away with a lot of stuff, or still has a lot of stuff because it's such a weird legacy game, right? Is like, in no other game would competitive players tolerate the fact that you couldn't just have access to the competitive strategies, right? Why wouldn't you have access to them? It's like, no, you have to like breed this Pokemon and then find another Pokemon and teach it an egg move and blah blah blah, and it's like extremely complicated and difficult just to play competitive Pokemon. Harvester says Colosseum on GameCube did have a more involved narrative than the Stadium games, and then I think Frontier, the Gen 4 one, I missed entirely, so I don't know how it fared. Yeah, I after the original Pokemon Stadium, I did not check out any more like console porting Pokemon games. Harvester says, but the initial point there was that they could save space on the disc by not having a fully integrated world and narrative. Sure. I remember playing my older brother's PC MTG game as a child and doing terribly because child. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Again, it's like you have to pay for it, but all that stuff is available to you in MTGO, in Arena, etc. So, yeah, it's weird that has kind of gone away. Or not gone away, but that we let Pokemon get away with that stuff. Let me... Where are we at? Okay. Give me 1 minute, and I will be right back. All right. Let's see. Uh, yes, that's what I said. Alexei. Nintendo could be getting paid for such a game, yeah, but instead there are free platforms how they're letting people battle competitively and adjusting their mons to their liking, as you mentioned. It's like I don't understand how Pokemon Showdown exists. Like Nintendo's actually very litigious. I don't know if you guys have seen all the stuff around Evo. So if you don't know, Evo is like the biggest fighting game tournament in at least the English-speaking world, at least in the West. Um, but it's a lot of Japanese and Korean and big players from like big places, like South Americans and Europeans and stuff come to Evo because it's like the premier fighting game tournament. Evo's had lots of problems. That's not what we're talking about, but um, one of the big news for this upcoming Evo is that Nintendo pulled Super Smash Bros. Ultimate from it. They were like, "Oh, Evo, you think that you're gonna get like all of this free publicity from our amazing game? So nope, you're not allowed to do it." And everybody's like, "What the F?" Right? It's like, if anything, Evo is like giving free publicity to Nintendo, right? But Nintendo is like, no, you can't do this. So I don't know. I have no idea how Pokemon Showdown continues to exist. It seems like the sort of thing that would have hit with like 1,000 explosive cease and desists from orbit. Like, I have no idea how it's still going. Harvester says, it's absolutely wild. Yeah, Nintendo is normally 100% crackdown on anything that could set legal precedent. It took, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this, but it took convincing for Nintendo to allow streamers to stream their games. When streamers first started streaming Nintendo games, Nintendo went after them. It wasn't until like streaming culture kind of manifested and people were able to be like, look, Nintendo, like, Microsoft is getting all this free publicity, Sony is getting all this free publicity. Don't skimp out on, or don't pass up this opportunity for a massive amount of absolutely free publicity, right? Like, not only are you not paying for it, but like other people are working it and promoting your product. So it's like you are like immediately making money just by having random streamers do their thing, even though you're like, maybe money is not coming into you immediately, like in the calculation of things, because you're spending no effort on it at all and it's still happening, you're already making money. So it's I have, if somebody knows how it is that Pokemon Showdown continues to operate and hasn't been shut down by Nintendo, like if there's an actual specific reason, let me know, because I'm very curious about that. Harvester says that Nintendo cannot control the image of their game/franchise. They are not interested. See the resistance against any streaming for so long. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Exactly. Like, I think people that are getting into streaming now or that are young didn't realize that just a few years ago there was this thing where like people that were streaming were making a living streaming Nintendo games were like, am I gonna have to stop? And people who made some amount of money from monetization of Let's Plays, right, on YouTube, they're like, oh, am I gonna have to take down all of my Let's Plays, which make this kind of like passive income by just being viewed and monetized by YouTube? Am I gonna have to like shut those down and then I won't have any money anymore? So yeah, it was a thing. Like, people were actually really worried, and this Evo thing shows that Nintendo it's still there, right? Sort of mentally, Nintendo is still there. It's just allowing other stuff to happen because it knows it's going to, like, it doesn't want to look like a monster. But that's the only reason. If they could, they would take it away and like their idea of how things works is like different. And that's another bug slash feature of Nintendo in general. Nintendo always thinks of things in its own way, and that's why um, it'll make like consoles that revolutionize the industry, and also consoles that are garbage, right? It's like we are thinking things on our own, so we created the Wii, and the Wii blew the doors out of everything, right? Created, not brought over from other games, created like twice as many gamers as there had ever been, right? And then their next step, here's the Wii U, garbage, right? Like literally almost no games exist for the Wii U. Like publishers were like, no, we're just not gonna make any games for this. Okay, thanks. And Nintendo almost went under. Or if it didn't almost go under, it took a serious financial hit. And then they came up with the Switch, and the Switch once again revolutionized the way that gaming was done by being a console and portable all-in-one. And that comes from the fact that Nintendo doesn't think the same way that other companies do. But the problem with the fact that Nintendo doesn't think the same way that other companies do is there too, right? They make big mistakes. They make big, stupid mistakes that anybody could have been like, this could be fine. For a long time, Nintendo was like, we are not ever going to license mobile games. We're not going to make mobile games, and we're not going to license mobile games. And sure enough, once they finally licensed that like Super Mario running game or whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about, the money just started pouring in, and they're like, oh, maybe it was a good idea to license mobile games. It's like, yeah. But it's that Nintendo mentality that prevents them from doing stuff like that. Harvester says even Let's Play YouTube vids had to follow very strict guidelines, or Nintendo would strike the videos, or I think there were YouTube partner problems with it too. Lol, I cannot type quickly enough. Yeah, I'm sorry, Harvester. I'm excited to talk about, Nintendo and all of their great ideas and stupid ideas, and how they're actually both the same idea. So yeah, I know that you're not like, I can tell that you're knowledgeable about this, Harvestry, but I'm just like blah, 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 blah. So I just get excited about talking about Nintendo, like when I have always been since I was a kid. I get very excited talking about Nintendo. Harvestry says Wii was good, but heck, I don't think the Wii U deserved all of its backlash. I enjoyed it. No, it didn't. The only reason why it deserved its backlash is because Nintendo flubbed some of the launch and didn't have partners like kind of all ready to go. So yeah, there's no reason. Like the system itself is fine. It's just Nintendo didn't handle it properly. Harvester says, I do think they weren't great with getting third-party devs to make games for it, because it would have to be basically Wii U exclusive thanks to that innovation. Yeah. In order to use the pad or whatever, like games just needed a lot more to them. It's like when the Wii first came out, because it was such a hit, companies were able to do that, right? Where they were like, we'll make a PlayStation and an Xbox version, and we'll make a Wii version that actually incorporates the motion controls. And a lot of companies did that, and it was lucrative because the Wii had so much of a wider audience. And sometimes it wasn't lucrative, and companies are like, we'll never do this again. And sure enough, when the Wii U came out, they're like, no, we're not making like a pad thing for our game that will just sell just fine on Xbox and PlayStation, right? And PC. Harvester says, having the gamepad for easy touchscreen while having the TV screen for regular displays was a really handy use of their design. It was cool having touch controls for ease and use of controller wide enough for my giant hands. Yeah, we enjoyed it. I liked because you could use that as a remote control. So I enjoyed actually using that as a remote control. I watched Netflix on my Wii U, and I could like take the pad, turn on the Wii U remotely, use it as a remote control to like pick things. I actually liked it a lot. I know that you can buy like digital pad remotes that do that, but it was fun to do that with this console that I already had. So I enjoyed it. Um, Harvester says, "Oh, you're 100% good. It's very engaging for me as well." Oh, that's good. Um, Harvester says, "Nintendo Land was an absolutely ace tech demo title. Its party games were a ton of fun for me." Okay. I am extremely sad that the tech difference between the Wii U and Switch means that they either couldn't or it would be prohibitively difficult to bring some of those Nintendo Land games up to Switch for online play. We will likely not see those games again. Yeah, that's possible. Although, things that I never thought possible are happening, right? My wife comes from a different dimension from me. So like when I say like, oh yeah, playing Nintendo games, she's like, you mean like big popular Nintendo games like the pod racing game for episode 1 on the N64. And I'm like, but sure. So one thing that happened is they brought that into the Switch and they gave it netcode, and now you can play that remotely. So my wife and her like BFF from grade school, who she still talks to, who used to they used to play the Star Wars Pod Racer game together on the N64, now can play with each other again. And it's like, I never expected that they would do that, but they did. So you never know. Harvester says, AC, Sweet Day, Mario Chase, the Donkey Kong Tilt Puzzle, all were grand and extremely fun. Yeah. Harvester says, oh, that's dope. I'm glad they were able to get that going. Yeah. And like, we didn't expect it. Like, I told her about it, and she's like, are you joking? Because if you're joking, I'm going to be very angry with you. I'm like, no. They're actually like, and when I told her it was already out, she's like, can we download this right now? And I'm like, I already bought it for you. And she's like, and like, she just started playing. She just like went in and immediately started playing. So that was fun. So yeah, good times. You just never know. But I think that's one thing that companies like Nintendo need to be on top of, is they need to have like a perpetuity department that is just like, okay, well, here are all the games. Let's preserve the game. Let's preserve the code of the games, and let's launch them again later. Make more money off of them, and whatever. Right? It's like this Capcom fighting game collection is coming out, and I am hyped for it because I haven't played Darkstalkers since I was a kid. I didn't have the PlayStations that they came out in. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get to play Darkstalkers again, and I'm kind of pumped about it. It's like, sure, it has like rollback netcode, and I can play with people online, but I don't so much care about that. I actually just kind of want to play around with the game, with like all 4 games, because it has like 4 or 5 different versions of Darkstalkers, so that's good. Harvester says, lol, yeah, that would be a cruel gotcha, and that's some grade A partnership. Nicely done, Rodrigo. Yeah. I figured they would be. I figured my wife would be into it. Harvey says, that thing you love from your youth, it exists again, and it can be played online. And if you can lift your jaw off the floor, I have it right here. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that was a time when I was really able to seem super heroic. But hopefully it makes up for like all the times where I'm just like calling my wife like, I'm lost, I don't know where I am, or whatever. So yeah. What else? Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We're at 3:45 standard time, but I think I'm allowed to talk about this. Drifters is coming back to Critical Hit. So if you don't know the Critical Hit podcast, you should. It is a role-playing game podcast that I'm on, and I was the game master for a long time, but now I get to play for a little while. And we are going back to our main sort of our main stage game post Void Saga, which is Drifters. So first recording session of Drifters is tonight. So I should take some time and look over my stuff. So we'll finish this one a little bit earlier. But we did get to advance again, as always, advance the game a little bit, and we'll probably finish the poison run next week. Oh, 1 second. So yeah, Drifters. Let's see. Dr. Cheesington says Rodrigo has escaped the acid mines of DMing for now. For now. Literally, Steven has like is starting up like a calendar of like where we want Critical Hit to go, and already like way in the horizon, like there I am running. So I'm like, I gotta get. I have to appreciate this time where I get to play, right? Because although I actually love game mastering, playing is also fun, and it's a lot easier. Like, you have to keep track of a lot less things, and you have to worry about a lot less things. So, you know, I'm all for it. So yeah, let's leave it there. We will talk next week, where we will probably finish Pokemon Shield with our Poison type run. And that will be something very exciting, and then we can talk about it and see what people think. All right, I'll catch you guys later.